and we back with part two of episode two of The Last Raiders. My guy Chino, just check it out, listen to the profound things he has to say.
And I'll leave it here. Just want to be better every day.
I mean, to put a bow on it, man, it's literally everything you just said. The influence propelled us, and like you said, we may not have been criminals. Some people might have fallen into that life, and some might not have. But I think it's preparing us for the world at large. The world was a scary place, and we had these men and women who were there, but it's like, once again, the male influence aspect of it, because they walked in the same shoes as us. They had the profiling, they had the all the other things that come with being a male and then being a minority as well. And they prepare.
Listen, stop. There is nothing minor about us. Nothing. And remember that. You have young men that you're raising. There is nothing minor about us. That is a terrible term used to discredit us as people and to create this thought that some are better than others. There is nothing minor about us. We have accomplished and will continue to accomplish to the world ends. We will always accomplish. It's an even playing field. It's a level playing field because we continue to be great. There's greatness everywhere. Don't let words diminish that. And I'm sorry, it's just a pet. I hate that word. We're not.
No, it's fine. Nothing
minor about us. Nothing.
I appreciate the correction because that is true. But being a man of color, let me say it. I'll put it like that.
I'm with it.
In the society back then, obviously, when you guys were coming up, it was far rougher how it was when we were coming up, but it was still rough for us all the same. And we learned how to deal with that. We learned how to navigate dealings with law enforcement. We learned how to navigate through dealings in the neighborhood. When you have former police officers teaching you, and they stopped being police officers because they wanted to work in the community to make sure that young men knew how to handle themselves in certain situations. I had a run-in with police. It had to be my junior year at Rice, and it literally had nothing to do with me. It was a young man who was with me at the time. We finished at a college prep program, of all things. And, he decided he wanted to write on West Side Market. And something in me was like, and I'm yelling at him, dude, just stop. Before he could drop his Sharpie, cop standing right there, cursing at us, everything. Mind you, these are 40 and 50-something-year-old men talking to kids.
Yeah.
And everybody's all scared. They freeze up. And I'm like, wait, Dr. Rob, Mr. Ash, they told me how to handle this. So I'm conversing with them. I'm having a conversation. Now, it didn't work out in my favor just because the interaction with them wasn't the best.
Right.
But at the same time, you look at it from my perspective. I'm a 16-year-old kid going through puberty. So my emotions are everywhere, hormones everywhere. And it could have been just as easy for me to snap, get angry, and lash out.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I wasn't being heard or I was being discredited when I'm just trying to have a conversation with somebody.
Right.
But had I not had that influence from Rice, I wouldn't have been able to control myself. And I think that, like you said, that goes a long way in being a pillar of the community and raising a community.
You have to be able to receive the message, to use the message, to allow it to develop you, and I think that it's crazy that we're still navigating a lot of this stuff. We still I still get nervous when police pull up behind me and I'm driving and I'm doing the speed limit. I'm doing the speed limit and I'm still like, oh, please don't pull me over. Please don't pull me over. Please don't.
Yo,
for a myriad of reasons.
Choir, bro.
Yeah, so it's a myriad of reasons. But I think that, the ability to be respectful in the face of authority, to show that maybe you were doing something wrong that you didn't know. You know, in the case with your friend, sure enough, knew what he was doing because you were in his ear telling him, but and then, but yeah, it's a very crazy dynamic, and not to get into politics and stuff, but I really hope that there is some education and some change in how we are policed. That's it. I'm not asking for miracles, just education and understanding, and I think a big part of it should be community involvement. Like the police that are policing should be a part of the community somehow. I don't think if you're going to take a job working in New York City as a city employee that you should be living in Rockland County. I'm sorry. You're not here to see what's going on, but you want to come here and act like you know what's going on. It's okay. I mean, listen, like, people are allowed to live where they want, and those are the rules that New York has set aside. I personally just would feel safer knowing that the gentleman policing my neighborhood lives in a neighborhood just like mine. So that if he sees me doing whatever, that he at least has knowledge of this. Like, it could be a game that we're playing, and at least he would have knowledge that it's a game. Like, I really don't know how to put this into words. And again, I'm not trying to politicize anything, because this conversation, it wasn't about that. But I again, just be better every day, no matter what your job, no matter what you're doing, no matter if you're a stay-at-home dad or stay-at-home mom, if you are the CEO of PepsiCo, or if you're the janitor at Yankee Stadium, just be a little bit better every day. That's it. The team for the Rice Raiders Alumni Association, we're really trying to be better at what we do every day. There's still a lot of things that we need to get better at. There's a lot of things that we can be better at. But we're going to be better. And there are a few things already in motion right now that we know some people are going to like, and it's not the end all be all of what we're aiming to do, but it's the starting point that we've been looking for. We were finally able to partner up with a print shop that is willing to do the job for us. They're allowing for the apparel and everything to come out. We have a surprise as far as the name Rice Raiders in general, which hopefully by the end of July we'll be able to announce something with that. We're moving towards a few things with that as well. But we're also hoping to possibly get sponsored by a 501c3 so that we can start applying for grants and stuff that will allow us to put different projects together that we're looking towards. And understand that this whole thing is volunteer. Nobody gets paid here, and I think the misconception that any of us here are in it for the money is ridiculous. Like, we've put up more money than has been seen in the bank account. Like, literally, we've put up a lot of our own money. I put up like if I had to recoup money from the Rice Raiders Alumni Association and put invoices in, I'm probably owed at least $1,500 or so. And that's had nothing to do with setting up the company. This is money that I put in so that the account could stay in the black, and that we can pay off whatever small bills we have. But the things that we did for the basketball game, at the Knicks game and stuff like that, a lot of that came out of pocket. That wasn't paid for by anybody else. We paid for that stuff, and we continue to pay. I mean, shoot, there was a $600 chicken tender order that had to be ordered at that game. And we paid $600 for chicken tenders out of pocket. That wasn't from money that was made. We made no money on the game. And this is why, to the people that feel that we are somehow taking money from, like, I don't know if you saw, I showed the bill. I showed the bill. I had no problem showing it. You know why? Because I know I'm not doing anything wrong. People were like, you shouldn't have done that. I'm like, no, it's okay. I'm doing it not to show him up, but to show that I am an honest individual. I'm on the up and up with everything that we're doing here. So when we're talking about volunteering, we're giving up our time. We've given up our money. We've given up resources. We've given up time with family just to get this stuff done, to have conversations, to meet with people. And we've had some great conversations. The thing now is like how the conversations we need to have in order to establish a 501c3, those are the next steps. That's what we're talking about next, that we want to be established, but the only way to establish is if we have, one, the money, and it's a very long process, but just show the works that we're doing that would show why we qualify to be a nonprofit organization. But it's going to happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it will grow into something where we will continue to work towards, and the ultimate goal obviously is to reestablish Rice High School as an institution in New York City. Now, how long is that going to take? I don't have that number because we're not even close to that yet. But what we do have are people that are ready to have these conversations with us, and they're really and truly waiting for us at this point. But we just have things that we need to organize ourselves before we can even try to have those conversations right now. And they know that, and that's why they're waiting. But they're anxious. And there's a lot of personal developments in people's lives as well on the team also that have kind of like taken priority for them. Me, my son, obviously. We have one gentleman that he actually two of them are finishing school. One is getting his master's in public administration. Another one is getting his degree in law. Shout out to both of them, Mark Wilson and Tahashine Collier. Can't wait to see them. And then on top of it, Mark recently married, and now he's going to go get his EMBA, his executive MBA from Cornell. So all of us still have lives on top of what we're doing with the Rice Raiders Alumni Association, but nothing here is on the back burner. Everything here is still at the forefront. We just are celebrating everything, and the plans that we have to engage community leaders, to engage people from other nonprofits to help us with the proper running of a nonprofit organization. Because I think that's the biggest thing for us, is wanting to make sure that we're doing everything on the up and up. This is why, like I said, I have no problem showing receipts. I don't, because I know what we're doing, and it's okay. You want to see receipts? I'll show you all the receipts in the world. I take what others say with a grain of salt because they're not here. They're not doing the work. They're not a part of it. And they just, I guess they want to make sure that we're on the up and up. And they have every right to that. That's okay. I'm not mad or anything like that. I think more than anything is when we feel harassed by individuals and all we've done is offered them proof of what we are. One guy said, I want to see bank account. I'm like, all right, here's $2,000. Sorry, I can't even afford the doorknobs for a new school with $2,000, bro. So my apologies. One person was like, oh, we got to sell a lot of hats and t-shirts. I'm like, that wasn't the goal. The goal wasn't for that. The goal was just to offer up something where I can go onto the alumni page on the Facebook page and be like, hey guys, donate money. Let's reopen Rice. Not really going to happen. Exactly. So how can we generate some income for the organization, for its expenditures? Again, we're volunteer and it's going to show on tax records. How do we go about generating revenue, but at the same time giving people something that they want, and that's where the online store came into play, and then that became a bit of a problem because of the word Raiders and everything. So what do? We go ahead and we now are going to go trademark Rice Raiders, and hopefully that process goes through. And like I said, in July, if it does, it's going to be because it will be owned by us. Not, and when I say us, I mean by Rice Raiders, because there have been other companies, other people, other individuals that have profited off of our name that never went to Rice. My cousin went there. So what? You didn't. You didn't go there. So why are you making any money off of it?
It's a different ball game, you know, and
Right.
I
So
can't stand that when people do that, man. It's the same thing like when people, you know, false claim like they're in certain branches of the military and then they get called out. You get offended by that, and
yeah.
I'm not even gonna get into the whole military thing, but it's just it's offensive when somebody claims to be a part of a family that, you know, they weren't there for. They didn't understand what we went through.
Right.
It's
And I don't want to knock anybody's hustle. I don't. And I understand business is business. Okay, business is business. But guess what? Now you got to deal with me. You got to deal with the other 8 members of this board. You got to deal with the 5,000 alumni that walk through those living alumni that walk through those doors, and explain to them why you think you have the right to use our name. You are not a Rice Raider. If you want to pay a licensing fee, we're with it. We'll talk about that.
business is business.
But business is business. You're right. So, you know, we had conversations with a couple people that had done some apparel and stuff using our name, and I sat back and I listened to them, and they had great reasons. I'm not mad at them. Again, this wasn't, but I'm like, all right, but then how is it that you're able to sell whatever you're selling, and when my friend Gabriel Rodriguez set up his shop, a Rice alum, and sold nothing, the guy tried. He had jerseys, basketball jerseys, baseball jerseys. He was doing, I think he was ready to do sweatshirts, and he wanted to do varsity jackets and all this other stuff. Nobody was purchasing. And he advertised wherever he could. And he went to Rice. But then I'm going to see somebody, and this is what upset me the most, that somebody went on the alumni page and they posted one of these other companies and what they were selling. And I deleted it right away. And I had to put the message out there. Listen, if you didn't support your own, the audacity for you to promote somebody else. My man Gabe is doing quality stuff, great things. And he went there. He can tell you the story behind his product and why he designed it the way he did, and why he's doing what he does. This other guy can't. But you're going to promote him? So, yeah, I mean, again, I'm not mad at that guy. I think I'm mad at us, or disappointed in us for not supporting our own. But that'll change now. If this trademark goes through, we will legally own the name Rice Raiders.
You know? That's a beautiful thing, man. I definitely have to get Gabe on here and definitely get his story too, man.
Yeah, no, Gabe, great dude, man. Great. And here's the thing, like I said, like you have, I think I told you this before we started this, you have 5,000 stories out here. You have 5,000 stories. This could be forever, and we will track down as many people as we can. You can talk to anybody and everybody. You're gonna hear some wild stories. You're gonna hear some Rice Jam stories. You're gonna hear stories. And I think the great thing is that everybody is going to remember things how they want or how they remember it. But it's our story to tell. It's not somebody else's. You know. I know. Chris Miles. Shout out to Chris Miles, Mr. NBA TV. Right, Rice Raider. He's working with something on something with Hashim Collier. I don't know where they are in the process right now. I will get an update from Hashim eventually, sooner than later. But hopefully, what you're doing here becomes almost in sync with what they're doing, and it becomes a part of it, because our story should be told. Rice was different from when it opened to when it closed, but all it did was serve the young men that wanted to be served. The faces may have changed, the demographics may have changed, Harlem may have changed during that whole time. But what didn't change was his dedication to seeing the success of young men. And I think that story absolutely needs to be told, because especially that there are no more Catholic schools in Harlem, really. I think St. Charles Borromeo, right? But no more high schools. None. You know, what's the
everything's in the Bronx now.
Yeah, well, like the closest one you have Cardinal Hayes, right? That's the closest one. And then I think downtown, the next one is like Regis. There's not much in between. So you go from 86th Street to 149th Street in the Bronx, and there's nothing there. Like, I find that offensive. I find that offensive to how things went down and how people were treated. What I also find offensive is that people that are very quick to criticize what me and the other members of the Rice Raider Alumni Association are trying to do, but they themselves have done nothing. I find that offensive as well, and I took a lot of stuff personally for a little while. I did. I took it personally because I'm like, you know what? We're trying something. We're trying. What have you done? Offering criticism without a solution is just complaining. Bring me a solution. If you have a solution, present it, because we want to be better every day. But if you don't have one, please let us do what we have to do and what we're doing. And if we fail, so what? You know why? We tried. Billionaires fail all the time, and they're still billionaires.
That's true.
So what if I hit once? What if in 6-7 years down the road, we're all standing outside of a brand new building, giant ugly scissors in our hand with a green and gold ribbon, cutting it in front of people that matter? What if that happens? Stop criticizing. Be a part of it, or step aside so that others that want to do it can do it. You know, we're a ragtag group of guys. Like, that's what we are. We're just a ragtag group of guys right now trying to do something. But the thing is that we all come from different generations of Rice. I'm the only person from the 90s. We have a couple from the 2000s, and we have from the 80s. You know, and each of them tells a story about their time at Rice, and I listen to them, and I listen and just, I'm in awe. Like, all the stories that they tell have been repeated year after year after year. It doesn't matter if you went there in 79 or if you went there in 2010. The stories are all the same. I remember one time we were in the cafeteria and we banging on the tables, or one time we were in the classroom turning up, or one time on the bus on the way to the game. And all the stories, as different as they are because of their era, are the same because it just involved a bunch of guys, a bunch of young men, a bunch of boys growing up together and learning about themselves and each other and life. And I want, and that's the point of the RRAA, is that we want that for another generation of kids. I want to see Shaq send his kids to Rice. I want to see my son go and graduate from Rice in 2039. I want these things because they deserve it. They deserve to walk through the halls of a school where the teachers look like them, where the teachers have their best interests in mind, and where the administration, the teachers, the cafeteria staff, the guy working, the janitor, whomever it is, knows that they are raising special people. And that's what we are, and that's what we were, and that's what we're aiming for. So, you know, the alumni group on Facebook is over 1,100 people, and I did a lot of that. I didn't start the group. I was given administrative rights, and when I was given it, I started adding people, and then they added people, and then they added people, and so on and so forth. And it got to the point where I had to put up questions in order for people to even try to get into the group, because we were getting like randoms, you know. It was just like some random people sometimes that were showing up. I'm like, you live in Oklahoma, and you went to some high school in Oklahoma. How did you get in here? So I asked. So I put 3 basic questions. What floor was the gym on? Some people say top. Some people say 6. Some people say 5th. And I'll take all 3 answers. I'll take all the answers because you're in the vicinity. What floor was the library on? Again, everybody always on the first floor. Right? And then what was on the third floor? And people have different answers for that. Some people said, and they know the answer was the brothers' quarters or there was a chapel. Both of them were on the same floor. Some people still mistake the second floor for the third floor. So like the computer room. I'm like, close enough. Click, you're in. You're in. Not a problem. It's not to play gatekeeper or keep people out. I want everybody to join. I want everybody in there. I want messages to go out to each other. And when we finalize the apparel and everything, which hopefully by the end of this week everything will be finalized, and the shop goes up, like people will have a place to go and find stuff to represent Rice: hoodies, t-shirts, sweatpants. We're doing some really basic items. We're not designers. This isn't Fashion Week in New York. This is just say, hey, I'm a Rice Raider. I had one of my good friends bought when we had the original shop up. He bought 2 t-shirts for his sons. His sons may never see the inside of a Rice high school. I don't know that. I'm hoping to God that I can get them in though, to give them that opportunity so that they can take that t-shirt and be like, my daddy got me this because he knew way back when. Miss Lewis, she was the business development at Rice at the time when I first started there. Lyle, she got my son a Rice Raiders onesie. Now he got to wear it for like a day and then he grew out of it because he's a big kid, like huge. And he got to when I put it on him and I'm looking at him and I'm like, damn, like he deserves this shot. He deserves to sit in the cafeteria and joke on people and be joked on. He deserves to sit on the bus on the way to a game and everybody smacking upside the head and joking around and da-da-da. And, just to be a part of something that will allow him to be better every day. That's it. I just want him to have that. I want your children to have that. I want the children who are being born to Rice men and increasing the size of our family to help increase the size of our family.
Absolutely.
And I mean that's the whole point of the little things that we're doing right now. Yeah, the Knicks game was great. That was an awesome event. When people say, "Yo, it's gonna be a movie," like it was a movie. See, dude, like I was in awe. Like people said, like when we first priced out the tickets, and I was speaking to the guy from Madison Square Garden, and he was like, it's gonna be like $6,000 a suite. I'm like, whoa. I had to do the math because I remember the initial conversation that we had put out there. Yeah, you're gonna get a ticket and a T-shirt for the price of that. And I'm like, we can't do the T-shirts. We can't do because how am I gonna approach? Are you like, yeah, it's gonna be $180 for a ticket and a T-shirt? I'm like, and you know what happens? We go to the game with T-shirts, and we sold out of T-shirts. So people were willing to actually pay the price to be a part of what we were doing, And I don't want to say I misjudged us. I don't think I gave us all the credit that we deserve. But when we want to show out, we show out. And I think the work that went into that particular event, and it was a lot of work. Because now you're dealing with people's money, not small dividend, like not small. It's a lot of money passing hands. To see $19,000 in the Rice Raiders account, and then to see it back at $100 after MSG took $19,000 off the Rice Raiders account. It's like, wow, that just happened.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah. Like, well, it was cute while it was in there. And to the gentleman that asked me, how much are you making off of this game? I'm like, a quarter. Each person we're making a quarter off of. Would you like for me to refund the quarter to everybody? I will, if you request so nicely. I'm sorry we kept your quarter. I just rounded up. That's all I was doing was round up. The ticket was $154 and like 70 cents. I'm like, 155. Sorry, I kept your 30 cents. Sorry, I kept your 30 cents. Then we refund
It's funny, man. And I definitely understand where you guys come from because I see the work that you guys do, and the work that you show us is what we see. But there's a lot of work that we don't see that's going on behind the scenes. You know, you guys have been doing this for quite some time now,
Yeah,
so
it's like
the
2 years, yeah.
the amount of work that you guys have probably done that you guys don't even talk about on the page is probably monumental.
It will be. I think as everything starts to come together, as projects can move forward. I think a lot of it was affected. Well, everything was with COVID. Honestly, like there was a big part of that was affected by that. There's one gentleman on the board. His name is Leonard Middleton. Lenny was an operations manager at Yankee Stadium, and he brought to us that Yankee Stadium on the regular works with nonprofit organizations, and he said that how they do it is this: if I wanted to go to Yankee Stadium and say, I'm going to provide you with 10 volunteers today. They're going to take 10 volunteers and you're going to work some concession. You can be walking around with, souvenirs. You could be selling cotton candy. Whatever the case may be, you could be selling that stuff. And the money that you generate goes to the Rice Raiders Alumni Association. So you may not have to actually put money out of your pocket for us to reap the benefits of your donation. You just have to give me
time.
That's all I need. Just give me your time. One day, maybe a 5 or 6 hour day, right? And if you can do that, and you help us generate a little bit of funds, we can continue to work on things. COVID kind of killed the whole thing with Yankee Stadium, obviously, right? So it's finding ways where we can continue to raise funds so that we can show, because the idea for raising money and stuff isn't to go spend the money and to build a school with this money, because at the end of the day, it doesn't have a lot of money in there. Even when we sell, the hoodies and the sweatshirts and the sweatpants and the t-shirts and whatever else, other items that we can find with this with this shop that's going to be helping us, even after all of that stuff, if we see maybe $1,000 a month, the idea isn't that we're going to, start paying ourselves. The idea is that we're showing that we can generate funds, that we can do this, so that when we start begging people for money that have it, the billionaires and whomever it is that we want to meet with, to kind of get this thing really rolling, is to show them that we've done the work. We're doing this. We are taking steps towards this already. Right? We're generating funds in different ways. We're generating funds by having our shop open. We're generating funds by volunteering at Madison Square Garden, the Yankee Stadium, and the Barclays, because all three organizations do the same thing when it comes to nonprofits, right? We're generating interest by speaking with community leaders. We have a brother from Rice that sits on the community board where Rice was at. If we could take some of these funds and offer up a scholarship to St. Charles Borromeo for the young men and women that go to school there, right? To show the community that, the building is gone, but Rice is still here. Rice is still here, and the young men that walk up and down the street. I don't know how many times I've worn my Rice cap walking through New York, and people have stopped me that went to Rice and knew immediately where that hat came from. And mind you, that hat didn't exist until I was working there. We had a bunch of different hats when I was at Rice previously, when I went to school there. I'm the one that brought that fitted cap to the Rice baseball team, and then we used it for fundraising afterwards as well to help pay for gas for the bus, stuff like that, So to this day, there's another gentleman that messaged me and he asked about a hat. He needs a hat. I'm like, I got to get the hat thing going again, but there's so many different things that I want to finalize first before I draw my attention to somewhere else again, So once we get the apparel stuff and everything, there will be another Rice baseball cap order, the whole nine. But it really is just a lot of projects that are in slow motion but are in motion, establishing the 501c3, getting the website built up properly, getting the print shop ready to go with the apparel and everything, because they're going to get us a web page and everything that everybody can order stuff from, so I don't have to manage any of that. All we do is take in the money and put it into the account and get it ready to be used for whatever it is that we're using. You know, I would like to get my team an email address each. Right now, we're all sharing this one that you're using right now with this account for the recording and stuff. But, you know, just little things so that we can be more established and really ready to go, so that everybody can benefit from the fact that we're working, you know, and get to that end result of again, standing outside of a building with those big giant scissors and a golden and a green and gold ribbon and opening that, you know, cutting that ribbon and opening the doors to hopefully a brand new home for everybody. And that's the goal. It's a dream of a goal. I got time. I got time to dream. I got time to work. I got nothing else but time. You know,
it's not a matter of the funds. It's just the time, like you said. And as long as we're willing to put in the time and the effort, we can achieve that goal.
Yeah, we are. So we are looking for ways to involve more brothers into this. Not, I don't say not as board members, because we're going to need that too, because people are going to come and go as far as the board is concerned and stuff like that. And even at one point, like at some point, I'm not going to be the president anymore. Like, I don't want to do this forever. You know, the idea is that better people, better and more, I guess, more well-versed in things like this. People like that should be taking over. People that probably are more accomplished in networking, stuff like that, should be the ones leading this, right? We did this because nobody else did, right? Somebody got to do it, and we did it. So here we are. But the great thing is that it because of the representation and the variety of people that we have on this board, as far as the years that we attended Rice, it will allow for people to come and go, or to stay and grow with what we're doing. Because for some people on this board, they might be on it for a long time. For others, they may not. But they're going to put the time in that they can give us and help us find the next person, and then the next person, you know. Yeah, so, you know, what we're doing, I'm not in competition with anybody else, you know. And I know that at some point, even on the Facebook group, there was like a little turmoil and stuff with some older alumni, and I have nothing against them. I really don't. It's not a personal thing or whatever. And if they reopen Rice, I'll be standing in the crowd watching that ribbon be cut. That's the goal. That's the goal. Reopen Rice. How we get there, that's the whole point of us doing what we're doing. Just try and get there. You know, at the time when they formed their organization, we reached out to them to try and find some camaraderie and a way to work together. It probably wasn't the best time for that. It's okay. You know, again, like if they are working towards this goal and they reopen it, then great. I'm not, like, nobody's going to be judging who opened Rice. Rice is open. That's all we want. That's all.
Something matters.
Right. That's all I think anybody wants. So, you know, the little criticisms and critiques and pop shots, there was an interview conducted with some gentleman's podcast where they flat out said that I was abusive towards them. And I'm like, this is like, I have the receipts. Like I said, I have no problem showing receipts. I have the receipts. So be that as it may, say what you want, say what you will. I'm not working this for me. I'm working this for your kids. I'm working this for my son. I'm working this for, you know, Kelvin McAllister's daughter, because maybe Rice will be co-ed. We don't know what this is going to be. You know, I just know, you know, that I want, like, my boy Hector to be able to send his son to Rice, my boy Raymond to send his kids to Rice, my boy Jason to send his kids to Rice. You know, for every kid that was unable to attend Rice from 2011 to now or to whenever the doors reopen, that they can send their kid to Rice because their dad or their cousin or their brother went to Rice and they never got that shot, but they want their kid to have that shot. You know, there are people that found out about what we were doing through the grapevine or whatever, and the first thing they said whenever they saw one of us was like, "Yo, I heard y'all gonna reopen Rice. Yo, I'm sending my kid there. Believe that day one. He's going. I don't care." Brother, we don't even have like a flyer saying Rice is open. We have nothing at the moment. We have nothing. What we have is determination, will, and the ability to find the resources that'll help us find the resources. That's what we have. That's what we have, and that's what we're going to continue to have. You know, I wanna end this because I know we've been on here for a little while, but I just want to thank everybody that participated in the conversations with us, Brother Hall, Eric Crawford, Lyle Lewis, Chris Miles. Man, there were a few more Marcus Wells. Just to thank them for the time that they gave us for these conversations and stuff. There were two brothers that Kyle Flowers introduced us to. I do forget their names right now, but I want to say they're like a marketing team based in Portland or something that are willing to help push the brand, push the name, so that we can establish something. So there's a lot of conversations that we had. There's a lot of conversations that we're going to continue to have, with the same goal though, and that's to get to one day reopen Rice and create a space where everyday young men can be better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's the end goal anyway, because that's what Rice was, pushing the young men who walk through those doors every day to be better than they were the day before. Mm-hmm. And that's just, the embodiment of Rice, what it stood for. R, responsibility, I, integrity, C, courage, and E, empowerment. And I'll never forget that. That's burned into my brain.
It's funny you mentioned that, because when we were having a conversation with Crawford, with Lyle, and with Brother Hall, they asked us, or they told us, the Christian Brothers own Rice High School. Like, they have that name. I'm like, that's okay. We weren't going to name it Rice High School anyway. We were going to name it the Respect, Integrity, Courage, and Empowerment Academy, RIT. Because ultimately, you can have the name. That's fine. You can't have the spirit. You can't take that from us. We were different. The Christian Brothers built something, and it was great what they built and everything. And if legalities come into play, then legalities come into play. That's fine. But you can't take our spirit.
Never.
You can put a cease and desist on a name. That's fine. You can't put a cease and desist on what we have inside of us. And we will find a way, because we're just resourceful and we're resilient.
But that's what Rice taught us to be that way.
Yeah.
That's literally the first thing you learn at Rice: resiliency.
Mm-hmm. Because we're not gonna, no may be the answer, and that's fine. But maybe I'm just not asking the right question. Right.
There you go.
So, but Shaq, dude, I love you for doing this. I love you for giving me the opportunity to speak. This is gonna be a very long video. If you want to make
I'll do some creative editing.
I was gonna say do a 2-part series on this one. We can revisit, but I can't wait to see who's next, what's next, what conversation you're gonna have, and if you want to create any, like, a sign up page or something like that, like do a Google form maybe.
And I think that'll be huge, because I've already had some brothers actually reach out to me from the 80s. So I was like, okay, so it's going now.
Yeah,
Hashim, we spoke, we touched base. So, and then I'm going to reach out to a couple of other brothers that I graduated with that I'm not in regular communication with, but can definitely get in contact with, from athletes to people who were in student government to, even robotics. So it's the whole nine. I think that, like I said in the very first episode of The Last Raiders, that this is going to be something powerful. Shades of, in the Bible, I believe it's the walls of Jericho, where the Israelites, they walked around the wall and then they shouted and the walls came down.
Right.
Like you said, the Rice alumni is 5,000 strong, and it's 5,000 different voices, but when we're all screaming together, we can't be ignored.
No, we can't. Not even a little bit. And I cannot wait to see who's next, what's next. I can't wait to hear their stories. I can't wait to hear everything. Honestly, like this is different. I know, to Kyle Flowers, shout out to him, because he runs the Rice Raiders basketball Instagram page, and he has interviews with a lot of basketball players. And shout out to all the basketball players. Shout out to anybody that went to Rice in totality. He got the basketball players to give their story. I didn't get to play basketball, and there's a lot of guys that never got to, put on a uniform. So there's stories that are beyond those stories as well, and those are some great stories. Listening to Felipe Lopez, bro, are you kidding me? Felipe, like he graduated. I came in the next year, and I mean, Rice was like, Rice was different because Felipe went there, but Felipe and Kemba and Russell Robinson and Sosa, Kyle Cuff, Andre Sweet, Andre Barrett, Lord Almighty, Kiki, like all, like Duran, right? When we were there, Jermaine Sanders and Emmy, bro, Emmy, and you need Emmy's story outside of basketball, because
bro, we went to Manhattan College together, and it was funny. We saw each other every day, orientation every day throughout freshman year, and we talked. And this is somebody, me and Emmy didn't really talk in high school like that, but it was just, we saw each other and it was automatic.
Yeah, it's funny. I ran into Emmy while I was at a diner. I was in the Riverdale diner. I was sitting there and the whole basketball team was coming in. I'm like, oh shit. And I see him like, yo, Emmy, what's up? He's like, oh, what's up, baby? Clap. But, you have so many good dudes. And there's so many good dudes that didn't play ball also. And I think this is your lane. Kyle has his, and I love Kyle's lane because there's some entertaining stories from basketball players and the guys that were on the team. And Kyle's trying to expand it out to varsity and to the managers, stuff like that, right? I think your opportunity here is to share the story of the scrawny Herb that came into Rice High School at 120 pounds with a big mouth, getting punched in the face a couple times, and turning out to be a decent individual in life.
Absolutely. I think that's, like you said, that's the story that isn't told.
Right.
Buddy, let me finish and I'll take care of that for you, all right? You should be asleep anyway, mister. You got school in the morning. But I digress, man. Those are the stories, because like you said, you'll always hear the sports stories.
Yeah,
the sports stories are always shared, but it's the guy who might have got shoved in a locker that has the best story, And
listen, we have guys, Cole Francis, right? UPenn.
That's my guy. I actually spoke to Cole yesterday.
There you go.
Cole was my first friend when I walked through the doors at Rice High School.
Cole Francis, UPenn. I remember from my class, Felix Candelario, Columbia University. I want to say Felix is like a VP or something at Amazon. Like, dude, there are stories that we don't get to hear. My man, Omar Richardson. Omar is doing tremendous things on the compliance side. And he went to Rice and he went to Duquesne. And Omar, I love this dude. Like, he's a great guy. We have guys that are doing entrepreneurial things as well that are doing tremendous things, but we don't get to hear their stories. And this is an avenue that can be explored by you, not and is not taking anything from the basketball players. Because I'll be honest, if it wasn't for the basketball team, a lot of money for that school would not have been generated.
True.
Plain and simple. I don't have new baseball uniform, or we didn't have baseball sweats if it wasn't for what the basketball team did, for the money that they generated. So I'm not dismissing their story at all. It is a very important story and very vital to the conversation. Other people want their story told too.